Greetings. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the live. Excited to talk about some nutrition today, man. Uh we look like somebody has joined the chat. Uh Somebody named Hate Belly Fat has joined the chat. You gotta turn your camera on, man, to get access. or I ain't gonna let you in, man. Uh what up, what up, what up, what up? Guys, type one in the chat if y'all can hear me and see me, man. If my audio's good, type one in the chat. We got R Lake, Ricky Lake. Ricky Lake, what up? What's happening? What's happening? You know what I'm saying? Who else we got up in here? Who else we got in here? Hate Belly Fat is on the train. Hey, it's all good. Hate Belly Fat, man. Just, I'm gonna do some teaching first, man. How long till you get to your destination, man? Let a brother know. Maybe we can get you on here. Roy Garcia, what up? What up? Who else we got in the building, guys? Type one in the chat if y'all can hear me and see me, man. We're about to get into some teaching today. You know what I'm saying? I figured I've been getting some of the same questions from my clients, man. I figured, hey, man, why not give you guys some of the answers, man? Give you guys some of the expert secrets to lose some fat, build some muscle, be a better version of yourself. Speaking of which, man, just as a gift for you guys for coming, I'm give you all access to my free suite of guides. These are proven methods to help you lose fat, get six-pack abs, and create sustainable habits to ensure that not only do you get ripped, stay ripped, become the most confident, best version of yourself, but you know exactly how to continue to keep those results long term. The link to get access to those is in the chat. They also are in my bio everywhere. For sure. Hey, man, somebody, my man's Hate Belly Fat says, appreciate the content. Thank you so much for the support, man. Glad I can help. Glad I can add some value in any type of way. All right, guys, we're gonna do a little bit of teaching today, man. So I'm gonna get into kind of like today's topic, and then we're gonna do some Q&A for y'all to help y'all be great. Let me just share my screen real quick. So let me share this window. All right. So if you guys can see a white piece of notebook paper and me scribbling in black, I want you guys to give me a one in the chat if you guys can see that. Let me know if y'all see me scribbling on the screen. So give me a one in the chat if y'all can see that. My mother's in the chat. Greetings. Roy Garcia's. Let me hope on YT and give you a follow. Appreciate that. Keith Small says one. Raj, what's that? Rajalo Garcia says, hey, what up, Rajalo? That's quite the name. Don Ott says one. All right, bet. So we can get into the teaching. So one of the things that I want to focus on today, man, just give y'all some nutrition advice, right? We want to focus on diet as a whole. Now, when we talk about diet, I want you to understand that like that's a very general topic in and of itself, right? Now we can get more specific, more granular if you guys got like legit questions about this. But one thing that I want you guys to understand is like getting good with your diet is 80% of what's going to determine whether you lose fat or build muscle, right? Now, if that makes sense so far, just drop me a thumbs up in the chat. Drop me some thumbs in the chat if y'all picking up what I'm laying down. Just drop me a thumbs up in the chat. Drop me a thumbs up in the chat. 80%. Rajalo says, we'll keep it easy for you, man. It's Roy. Okay. What up, Roy? Welcome to the live. MJ says, he much chocolate cannot eat to lose weight. We're about to get into that, right? Because it's not a certain amount of chocolate that's going to help you lose fat. In fact, I would argue that in most cases, a certain amount of chocolate might fuck up your fat loss. But we're gonna get to that in a second. So I'm seeing the thumbs up. Cool. Because the point I want to illustrate, y'all, it all hinges upon understanding that if you do not fix your diet, nothing else matters, right? So if you looking to lose fat and you doing cardio to lose fat and you don't fix your diet, that shit is useless, right? If you're looking to build some muscle and you lifting weights multiple days a week, right, and you do not fix your diet, that shit is useless, right? And if you are not doing anything, right, you lazy and you just don't fix your diet, well, guess what? You're going to stay fat and lazy, right? So it behooves you to really understand that all your success from a fitness, wellness, and health perspective hinges upon getting good at this, all right? So the reason I wanted to illustrate that is because I want y'all to understand that getting good at understanding what you need to do for your nutrition is a skill, right? It's not something that inherently you just know, because if you knew, you would do, right? You would already be at your results. Now, if this is making sense so far, guys, just drop me a 2 in the chat, right? We're just going to do a little pulse check, make sure y'all understand what I'm saying. Drop a 2 in the chat. My man's Roy talking about Cocoa Pebbles. What the fuck's going on in this chat, man? Talking about, ISO 100 Cocoa Pebbles. Okay, I got some twos. What's the ratio of carbs, fats, carbs, proteins? Don, I'm definitely going to answer that. Just hold off on that question. Keep that question in your back pocket, because that's specific to the goal. And I just want to talk like broad understanding of the things that I want to help y'all be great with today. Okay. So diet is a skill, and in all skills, there's 4 levels of what we call skill acquisition. Right now, if you want to know where I got this perspective from, you can go check it out in a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, right? It's really good. But basically, level 1 in any skill is it's called unconscious incompetence, right? So basically, in layman's terms, you don't know what the fuck you're doing, right? So at the beginning of doing any new skill, you are always going to start at level 1. You don't know shit, right? As it relates to nutrition, it relates to diet, like level 1 is like you just eat whatever's in front of you, right? You don't have any type of awareness. You don't even know what a calorie or a macro is, right? You just out here eating for taste, right? You just, maybe you grew up in a household, like me, where like, your mom, your dad, your parents, your family, they just put food in front of you. They cooked it and it was like, here, eat this, right? It'll make you big and strong, right? Now at this level, you don't know what you don't know. So you don't even know what to look for. Like you don't even know what questions to ask. Like you don't even know what's missing. But if you know what I just said, in that you want to see change, and 80% of that change is contingent upon fixing your diet, you cannot stay at level 1, because if you stay at level 1, you will never change. Your life will always look how it looks now, right? If you fat as hell, you're going to be big as hell forever. Right? If you skinny and want to put on some muscle, you always going to be skinny, talking about you got a fast metabolism, even though you're not even tracking your calories, right? If this is making sense so far, guys, type 3 in the chat, because we're gonna build upon these points. So I got a pulse check with y'all. Type 3 in the chat if this makes sense. My man Giovanni says, is it okay to have a cheat day once a week? I don't see why not. I don't see why not. All right, we got some 3s coming in. All right, bet. So look, so the thing is, what you ultimately get to once you decide you want to change is you have to now move from level 1 to level 2, right? This is called conscious incompetence. So basically, this is where now you know that you suck at this, right? So now you're aware of the things that you're actually needing to change, right? Maybe you just found out what calories and macros were, and you're like, man, I need to reduce that to actually hit my goal of losing some weight, right? Or you need to build some muscle or maintain muscle. Man, there's a certain amount of protein I need to hit, right, every single day to make sure that I'm giving my body the amino acids to actually produce a new muscle for me, right? You're learning, man, foods have nutrition labels. Oh my God, all the information has been here the whole time. I just never looked at it. You know why you didn't look at it? Because you didn't know to look at it, right? You were at level 1. But then level 2 is where you're like, man, okay, I got to start looking at this. Maybe you just start tracking, right? You just found out tracking apps is a thing. And then you start tracking and you realize, man, I am not good at hitting my numbers, right? I suck at this. Or maybe you like a lot of guys and gals I coach, I give them a meal plan, right? And then I'll have them like track what they did to make sure they're hitting their targets. And they like, man, I always forget to track it. Like I always forget to put my meals in the app. You know what I'm saying? Type 1 if you've ever started tracking your meals and you forgot to do it, a few days of the week. Type 1 if that's ever happened to you, right? Because if that ever happened to you, then the skill of tracking, you should be doing it, but you're not doing it because you suck at it, right? You trash, right? And listen, this is okay. I'm not here to say that you guys shouldn't suck. We all have to suck at some point, pause, right? We all have to be terrible before we can get good. But it is a like legit step in the process of you leveling up in any aspect of your life. You can even take it out of the context of this and say, if you learn how to walk, right? You guys ever taught like a child how to walk, or you remember back when you were learning how to walk? Level 1 was like when you was just crawling. Level 2 is when you was like learning to walk, but you was busting your ass. You was falling a lot, right? Level 2 is where most of y'all is at right now. Y'all know you should be changing stuff. You kind of know what to change, but you suck at it right now, right? And so this is where honestly, there's a great divide between level 1 and level 2, and level 3 and level 4, in that I would say this is the line of quitters, because most people tell themselves a story. They have to feed their ego in that, oh, no, man, I don't suck at this. It's just not for me, right? So they'll say things like, oh, man, I tried this diet. It didn't work, right? Or they'll say, oh, man, I've always been big bone. Nothing ever works for me. Or, man, I did this workout routine, right? If we just take it away from diet for a second, and it didn't work for me. It's like everything works, right? You just have to be good enough at doing the work and do the work consistently enough to see the change. And so what happens is a lot of people quit at level 2 because their ego won't allow them to like humble themselves and realize that, you just trash, right? You're just terrible, right? If that makes sense, guys, just give me a thumbs up in the chat, right? Because you can get better. That's what we're headed to. So basically, the next level from here is what we call conscious competence, right? CC. And this is where you're getting better, right? This is where like you're not quite on autopilot. You're like, more aware than obviously the first 2 levels, but it still requires a lot of concentration and focus to actually do it, right? So like, in the context of dieting, this would be like where maybe you started like hitting your macros, a few days in a row, and you saw some weight come off, right? but then, you know, maybe like once a week you fall off, right? Because you didn't plan according to, you know, what things were coming up that day. So you still got to be intentional, right, at level 3. But this is where like the results started to come, and it started to actually get exciting, because it's like, man, I know what I'm doing somewhat, and if I just do more of it for a longer period of time, then I'll see even better results, right? And so in most cases, like whenever you guys see my content or you see me giving out guides, right? You know, even if some of my clients are watching this, you guys are like in the program already, like you're getting one-on-one coaching. You know, the goal is always to get you guys from this side to here. And in most cases, like a lot of people can see great results just staying at level 3, right? But there is another level, right? And that's level 4. Level 4 is called unconscious competence. This is where you're so good at doing the new skill that it's actually difficult to do it poorly, right? It's hard to fail. You do it so much on autopilot that you don't have to think about doing it. So it's kind of like I would have to take it out of the context of diet to compare to stuff you guys already do. Think about speaking the English language, right? Like right now I'm talking English, right? I'm speaking English. If I say wop bop baloo bop ba wop bamboo, that's just fucking gibberish, right? But I had to concentrate on making up words just now, right? Because I speak English so much that I don't have to think about it, right? I'm on autopilot all the time speaking English. You guys are on autopilot walking up and down the stairs or walking back and forth. You guys are on autopilot driving your car, right? Because you do it so much you don't have to think, right? That's the ultimate level of skill acquisition. It's just it's you're actually so good at it, it's to just become a part of who you are. And it's difficult to do it poorly. It's hard to fail, right? That's the level where like this don't even seem like work anymore. And it's just like you just embody this, right? And obviously I would love to help a lot of you guys get here too, but it does require longer bouts of consistency to get there. Guys, if this is making sense, and you want me to go like more in depth on topics like this, go ahead and just give me a 1 in the chat. Because I want to show you guys how to get to level 4 if you want to get there. Just type a 1 in the chat. This is making sense. We got some ones coming through for sure. Ones coming through. All right, cool. So that's pretty much what I want to be the anchor of today's Q&A. It's like I want you guys to start thinking like, not just, all right, man, like what's the thing I need to do, or what's the hack, or what's the one thing I need to change. It's more so like, what level of skill are you at with the goals that you have, right? Are you at a level 1 and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, right? You know, or are you at level 2? You starting to learn what you need to do, but you're just not good at it, right? If you're at a level 3, all right, what helps you get more consistent so that you never fall off and you can ultimately reach level 4, where you just embody, you know, sort of the essence of these results, right? So let's get into some question and answers. Guys, throw whatever questions you want in the chat. I'm gonna make sure I go through everybody's questions before I hop off today. Also, too, if you need more help with leveling up your skills when it comes to diet, nutrition, exercise, or whatnot, just grab some of my free guides in the chat, and then also the description of the video. All right, my man says, Roy says, berries, low calorie, good food source. Yeah, berries is that shit, man. We love berries out here. Rachel says, how much fiber should be consumed, and what are the best carb fiber sources? I went on the carnivore diet and screwed up my system. Damn. Sorry to hear that, sweetheart. Not eating carbs, put on 20 pounds. Overeating, fixed bowel problems, help. Shorty, I hate the fact that you went on that carnivore journey and destroyed your system. I'm sorry to hear that. But I'm glad you came back to the land of us carb consumers, because you don't have to give up carbs to lose fat. So yeah, like let me help you with that. We'll do the screen share again. You know what I'm saying? Y'all like the screen share? Give me a thumbs up if y'all digging the screen share, man. Yeah, so we're gonna go back to the screen share and we're gonna draw some more stuff. All right. So basically, when it comes to fiber intake, you want to focus on getting somewhere between like 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day. This is for most people. Like most adults can get away with this on a fat loss journey, and it's great for fat loss. It's actually not that great for muscle growth, but that's a different topic. Because you'll be more full and satiated, and then you'll have better like bowel movement. The reason why fiber also is so good is because like it impacts your I was about to write microbiome, but it's a simpler way to say that. Your gut health, right? Gut health is closely tied to not just like your mood and energy, but it's also tied to your hormones. We're just gonna put horm because I'm running out of space here. So when it comes to this, like there's a ton of ways to get more fiber. Some of my favorites are green veggies, like pretty much any green vegetable you like, whether it be spinach, kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, like all that's loaded with fiber. Also, all the beans and legumes, we'll just say beans and legume. You know what that means. Some fruits have fiber. I think my man Roy mentioned in the chat berries, right? That's a good one for fiber. We also are really a fan of like certain grains with it. You know, stuff like bread and barley, you know, quinoa. Fun fact, I used to think this was pronounced quinoa. Yeah, quinoa, like Renoa from Final Fantasy VIII. I would say like there's like fiber, we'll just say fiber fortified foods now. And what these are usually marketed as is like keto foods, because like you get like the keto bread or the keto wraps or the carb zeros, right? Stuff like that is like loaded with abundance of fiber. And it's fortified in that like they put different items in it to make sure that it has a ton of fiber. I didn't even mention, it should have been up here in the grains, but one of my other favorites is like oats, right? But you know, it's just a grain. I just want to throw it out there because it's one of the easiest to get your hands on, easiest to prep, and a lot of people fuck with it, right? If that was helpful, just give me a thumbs up in the chat. Give me a thumbs up in the chat. All right. All right, let's stop the screen share. All right, on to the next question. So my man Don Ott said, what is the ratio of fat, carbs, protein? So the ratio depends on your goal, right? I'm gonna break down the different ratios that you can do to actually help achieve your goal. So we're gonna go back to our whiteboard again. And break this down. So let's go ahead and, oh man, I ain't mean to do that. let's get this out of here. So the way I teach it usually is there's fat loss ratios and there's muscle building ratios. So for fat loss, typically I coach it at 40% protein, right? Really important to help you sustain lean muscle mass and stay full and satiated in the deficit. And then for most people, you can do 30% carb, 30% fats. Now, the only time that's not true is if you have like hormonal issues, like let's say like you're diabetic. You can't do this. You'd have to lower your carbs to accommodate that. You have to raise the fats and lower the carbs. But you guys, that's more in depth for like somebody who has that individual issue. But for build muscle, it's typically about 30% protein is usually good. And it's kind of the opposite here. We actually raise the carbs, usually about 50% carb that fuel your training and recovery, and then 20% fats. So you adjust the percentages based off what your goal is at that time. And if you guys need more help figuring this out, I got a free fat loss course. The link to get that is everywhere. You can find the link. Cool. Hey guys, if this has been helpful so far, just drop me a thumbs up in the chatty chat. See who else we got. All right, we got some thumbs coming in for sure. I got some questions in the chat from Hate Belly Fat says debate of the deficit from BMR versus TDEE. Why do you choose BMR? It's superior, man. So let's break this down. We're just gonna go. Wait a minute. What happened to my? Let me find my whiteboard. All right, I got it. All right. So it's definitely superior, bro. Here's the thing. When we look at like fat loss is about, you burn more calories than you eat, right? And, it's one of those things that is very individual. So how many calories I burn versus eat is going to be widely different than how many calories you burn versus what you eat, right? So it's really heavily tied to, I would say, the metabolism. So we're just going to put metab. So how much calories somebody's body burns at rest. It's really about muscle mass at the end of the day. And then the other thing is the amount of movement. So I've been coaching for 10 years now. And most of the people I coach have desk jobs. Okay. So you may be reading this. I mean, you may be like, okay, that applies to me. Great. You're going to get a ton of value from what I'm going to say. If you don't have a desk job and you're like, that doesn't apply to me, you're actually about to learn why it's easier for you if you don't have a desk job to lose fat. Okay. If you guys are interested in learning how to make this shit easy, type 1 in the chat, right? Type 1 in the chat. So here's the thing. What I learned over the years is that people who have desk jobs, they sit for probably 8 to 10 hours a day, right? We counting work and we counting a commute. Okay. How many hours a day are we awake? Well, if you get 8 hours of sleep, then that means you're only awake 16 hours a day in most cases. I mean, unless you just, burning the candle at both ends, as they would say, and you just, out here sleeping 5 hours a day and getting your ass up and going after it, right? Most people are awake 16 hours. Okay. If y'all still with me and this is all making sense, give me a 2 in the chat, right? Give me a 2 in the chat. Because here's the thing. If you're awake 16 hours and you're, either sitting on your ass or driving or combination of both, 8 to 10 hours a day, right? Just depending on the situation. Then, I mean, this right here means that you're not getting this sleep, right? So that's even a bigger problem. But in this instance, when are you moving? Most of y'all are going to say, oh, it's when I'm in the gym. But how much of your day is that really? Right? If you're in the gym, maybe 1 hour, right? To 1.5 hours. If you're in there 2 hours, 3 hours, you're doing too fucking much. What's the percentage of your day you're actually moving? Right? It's very little compared to the entire day. Right? Y'all see that, right? Like you're only really moving 1 to maybe 1.5 hours a day. The rest of the day you're sitting, right? So here's the thing. What is those 2 things that my brother mentioned in the chat? TDEE. What the fuck is that? And what is BMR? If you care, BMR stands for basal metabolic rate. This is just your metabolism. TDEE is BMR plus an activity multiplier. So it's just adding extra calories on top of BMR to give you more food, right? But why the fuck would you need more food if you're looking to burn more calories than you eat? Especially considering that most of y'all only move 1 to maybe 1.5 hours of the day. Some of y'all gonna be like, man, I got an active job. Guess what? If you base your calories off BMR, right? This is what your body burns on its own. Then guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose weight faster because you're not adding extra food for no reason. It's literally the most ridiculous thing I think most people are still stuck on in modern fitness and nutrition, is like giving people more food who already have food on their fucking body. What is fat? Fat is just food you didn't burn. Right. So why would we give somebody who's not active an activity multiplier to give them more food that's going to make fat loss harder than it needs to be? That's why I don't ever make calorie suggestions based off TDE. You will never hear me say, man, you should do the TDEE multiplier. Nope, it's stupid. It doesn't work. I used to coach people like that. Right. I used to give people way more food than they needed. And guess what? They would still be fat 4 weeks into my program. And then they would blame me like it's my fault. Right. But it was my fault because I wasn't giving them what was appropriate to them. So I just use BMR, man. It's more effective. It gets better results. I've never had a client or anybody. Matter of fact, you guys see it. I got hundreds and thousands of followers who watch what I share every single day. And a bunch of them just use my free shit and still get amazing results. And a lot of them are just using the BMR calories that I say. Nobody's ever told me, oh man, I passed out in the gym from eating like this, or I lost a ton of muscle because I followed what you told me to do. That never happens. What does happen is people convince themselves that they need more food than they actually do, and they stay fat forever, right? And that's what I'm actively fighting against. YouTube Live keeping you big as hell. Absolutely, absolutely. Patricia says, "What type of diet is this?" Well, listen, you never really hear me talk about like, hey man, you should do this diet, because diet is a temporary solution for a permanent problem. What we talking about is a new lifestyle change, Patricia. And we talking about having a deeper understanding of nutrition and eating what's appropriate to your goals based off numbers. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about like a special diet. Ain't no special diets that work. Everything that ever worked, as far as fat loss is concerned, it works because you out here building a calorie deficit, right? Hate Belly Fat says, thanks, bro. Just want to make sure I'm eating enough with workouts. Yeah, bro, I guarantee if you follow what I say by the book, you will have more than enough food. The only things that would prevent you from being able to perform or get the most out of your workouts is if you're not getting enough protein to recover, you're not getting enough fiber, like we just talked about, or you're just dehydrated. You're not drinking at least a gallon of water a day, right? You don't need a ton of food. If you got body fat, you don't need a ton of food. That's what it's for. Guys, what other questions can I help y'all with before I go eat my dinner? Anything else I can help y'all be great with? Going once, going twice. Drop your questions in the chat before I get up out of here. All right, here we go. Jose, if I'm eating tofu, that fine when it comes to getting plant protein versus eating meat? Yeah, I don't see why not. You know what I'm saying? I don't see why not. It's literally protein is protein in most cases. The only times you run into like having to be concerned about the source of the protein is if it's like overly processed, right? And your body might not be able to absorb those nutrients as well. Or you think about it from a perspective of like the amino acid profile, which is really boring science. I'm not going into that tonight, but I would just say this. Most plant-based protein products nowadays have really close to complete, if not complete, amino acid profiles. So you're fine if you're eating some plants instead of some dead animals, like me, right? I eat a ton of dead animals. All right, Lauren says, more meal ideas. What do you mean? What do you mean by meal ideas? Right? Because that's very vague. I recommend, Lauren, if you just came in, hey, this live is going to be posted after. Watch it from the beginning, because what I talked about at the beginning was there's 4 levels that you have to go through to get a skill, and the question you just asked me sounds like you might be at level 1, right? You got to get to level 2. Level 2 is where you really find out that like ain't no special meals, right? It's just what foods actually hit your numbers, right? It ain't no special meals, Lauren. You pretty much can eat whatever you got an inkling to eat. If you know what your calories and macros should be, you can make it fit, right? You may have to adjust your day to make it happen, but like ain't no special meals for like muscle growth or fat loss. I don't mind tofu. I'll just put a little soy sauce on it. Not too much since it's salty. Yeah, man. Shout out to soy sauce, man. I have heard you say it's easier to use MyFitnessPal for calorie tracking if you eat whole natural foods. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm talking about today, and that's what I would recommend for you. Like, just start using MyFitnessPal. You know what I'm saying? Because then what you'll learn is like food is just numbers. It's not no special ingredients or fat loss foods or any of that. Like healthy ain't even really a thing. It's just like, is it real food? Like, is it a whole natural food or is it processed? And does it hit your nutritional targets? Does it give your body what it needs? But yeah, MyFitnessPal is cool. You can use a different tracking app. I used to use that app back in the day, so I think it's fine. All right, any more questions before I go? Or y'all all experts tonight? Guys, type in the chat. What was most helpful today? What did you get value from this? If anything, like what did you what could we garner from this and say, you know, this was good? You know what I'm saying, if y'all good, I'm good though. Whoa. All right. Also, if y'all want me to go live again this week, just type live in the chat and I schedule my next one, man. Let y'all know when it is. All right. Cool. Wait, y'all, thank you so much for pulling up. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you guys got a ton of value from this and anything that I share with y'all, and got some fresh content coming soon. Until next time, go ahead, grab the free guides. The links are everywhere. You can just go find them, and I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.